The next train to depart from platform 3 is the 14:35 midline service to Birmingham New Street, calling at Samwell and Dudley, Smevick Galton Bridge, Smevick Rolfe Street and Birmingham New Street. This train is formed of one carriage. Hi guys, and welcome back to Dudley Central. In this video I just want to go through my station build. I covered it in my last update, but I wanted to show you what I've actually done to this kit to customise it to what I want. I've added lights and I've also added some sound to it as well, just to try and bring it a bit more to life. It was a very enjoyable kit. It's of course the Metcalfe station, I think it's the mainline station kit, and it was just really good fun. I've also tried some new techniques with the platforms using the Metcalfe paving slabs. I really enjoyed using these actually. I think they look quite realistic, and I hope you'll agree. It suits this station quite well. So without further ado, I'll show you what I've done, and I hope you enjoy this video. As with any Metcalfe kit, it's always good to have a nice tidy environment. Make sure you have a cutting mat, a nice steel ruler, a sharp knife, and of course rocket card glue. I also use the rocket card glazing glue for the windows, as I find this doesn't seem to stain them like the normal rocket card glue. So with this kit, you have like a bunch of sheets for the different parts of the build. For those of you that are familiar with Metcalfe kits, they're quite easy to follow. The instructions are always very clear, and when you use rocket card glue, you'll find that it sticks together quite quickly, and you'll form quite a solid structure very fast. So with this build, you seem to start with the two end structures actually, and you go through and add the windows. Later on I'll come on to bringing in some detail into these areas. There's quite large windows on these parts of the build, so it's important that, in my eyes, that you fill these areas with detail. So just coming on to the central part of the structure now. You build the front part, and then you start adding the little bits in between. When I add the glue and glaze for any windows, I don't run large lengths of glue. I dot it on. I find this stops it from running everywhere. You've got a bit more control over it, and then you've got a bit of flex actually with moving bits on the card model. It doesn't set quite as fast as the ordinary rocket glue. At this point, on the end structure, I decided to leave the final walls unglued because I wanted to detail the interior. So I then moved on to the other one and did the same kind of process. So the other side obviously was pretty much the same kind of process for building it. It pretty much is the mirror image of the one I've just built. Yeah, it's important to take your time obviously with this part. So after you finish the two end pieces in this kit, you then come on to the middle part where the ticket office and the buffet area is. Again, this was a nice part of the build, and you've got quite a few sort of windows and bits and bobs to add to it, and it comes together quite nicely. Again, I use the same methods with the windows, using the glue and glaze and just putting spots on where I wanted to glue them. Just made sure that also the glue didn't seep through to the underside and affected the print. I have done Metcalfe kits in the past, and to my mistake I've used rocket glue and it's gone to the other side and ruined the print. So especially when there's gaps, I find the glue and glaze is actually better, even if it's not for windows. I did find with the glazing that the best method actually was to score the glazing with your knife and just come along it once and then snap it off. So onto the interior and exterior signage. I've used Sankey Scenics and some Scale Scenes bits for this. Sankey Scenics are really high quality, and the Scale Scenes you can come up with a variety of different bits and pieces. So a variety of different kits that I've picked from Scale Scenes has helped me come up with little scenes within the station building. So I've got the buffet, the ticket office, and I've also detailed the waiting room as well. So it's all come together quite nicely. For lights, I just got some LED strips off eBay. They're quite cheap and they're very easy to fit. They had the self-adhesive backing on them as well, so it made it really easy to do. With my finished detailed ticket office and buffet, I could now come in and fit these to the central structure. I was quite happy with how they looked, and to be honest, you'd have to do that detailing before, but you glue it because once they're in, they're quite difficult to access. So as you can see here, the gluing on the sides, and the only access then is from the top, and it's quite awkward to get your hand round and fit bits in, especially figures and other little bits and pieces inside. So I left that to set, and I came and put a ceiling on. This was not in the instructions at all, but I cut some holes in. The whole idea here was so that once I glued it in and fitted lights above there, that the lights would come through. So now to fit the speaker, I put a double iPhone mini speaker in the middle part of the structure, and this was near one of the holes I'd cut as well. It's quite small, but it's quite a beefy little speaker, and it's available from Roads and Rails. And there you can see how it fits there with the lights there as well. I was really impressed with it, to be honest, and I've connected this to a Bluetooth module which sits underneath the baseboard. The Bluetooth module was only £6 off eBay, and it came from China. If you're prepared to wait for 3 weeks, I highly recommend going for one. It was really easy to do, and then you can just play whatever you want off your phone then. So back to the kit again. I now had to fit the platform-sided fascia. This was all by the kit at this point, as per the instructions. So now moving on to the platform. This is pretty much standard for a Metcalfe platform. Instructions are quite good at leading you through this part. It just kind of fits together. Again, the rocket car glue was invaluable at this point. It was really good for getting stuff to set really quick. very quickly you get a structure starting to take shape. These forms underneath are really important, and any platforms I build now I make sure I put these forms underneath, and it makes quite a solid structure. And I quite like going for card platforms now in my layouts, as it means that your layout is nice and lightweight and easy to carry, but it is vital that these forms are put in. Onto the steps. This was quite a nice little build actually. Again, the rocket car glue is really good for this, but there was something quite satisfying about building the steps for this kit, and I think they look really good. So now I'm back on the platform. What I did before gluing the structure in, I wanted to mark where the columns actually sit. This was so that when I came to do the paving, I made sure I didn't pave over these areas. For the paving itself, I used the Metcalfe paving slabs. These are the self-adhesive ones, but I always use glue, to be honest. Rocket car glue again, and it means that it's nice and secure, and there's no worry of bits dropping off. So this is the kind of pattern that I adopted for the paving slabs. Really, once you've got the first 2 or 3 rows gone, it's quite easy to do, and it's quite a satisfying project, to be honest, in itself. I've used this for pavements and paved areas, but I've never actually used it on a platform before. But I have seen pictures of stations with paving on them rather than just tarmac, and actually I quite like it. It gives a bit of depth to it, and it looks so much better than the card sheets that you get. I think actually having physical slabs in there really makes a difference. You can see I've gone for the whole lot there, and I'm now coming towards where the front of a building will be. And you can see the pencil marks just there, and these are areas that I can't pave for now anyway. Just coming round the back now, you can see I'm just coming round those pencil marks, making sure everything's nice and square, because it's really important around these columns that everything sits correct. I've also cut into the sides of the platforms there. This is for the wiring from the station building, so that the wires have somewhere to go down to beneath the baseboard. This final run here, it was important to make sure this was flush up against the edge. The little black panel at the bottom is where the staircase finishes, so it's important that you don't have too large of a gap in between. Getting going now, the platform's in. and I've actually connected the central part of the Metcalfe station to the platform, and there you can see the wires coming down through the holes that I cut. Adding the sides parts of the structure, you need to add some flaps which space it away from the platform. When you glue it together, there's a great big grey panel on that structure, and then you line it up with the central part and the platform. I come along underneath the platform with a bit of glue just to make sure it's nice and secure, and then you repeat the same process with the other side. Now, in the instructions it does recommend this to actually use some books. I thankfully had some books lying around, and I left that for a couple of hours to set. Whilst that was setting, I went about looking at the roof structure. I personally found this a little bit fiddly, trying to make sure it would sit right with the little supports, but once you got two of them in it, it's a bit easier. Now coming in onto now dry structure, the roof fits in nice and snug. It's important to make sure you've got the chimneys the right way around though. The central part of the roof fits in nice and snug against the brickwork, and it fits in really well. If you've built the kit properly, it should slide right in. Now, these little parts I really like doing. I just think it really adds depth to the front of the station. They're like capping bits, aren't they? I don't know what the name for them is. As with Metcalfe buildings, you've also got the capping along the edges of the walls and the tops of the gable ends. And on the tops of the roofs you've got little strips that you can fit on just to hide the unsightly edges. So now moving on to the canopy. Again, I've come in with my glue and glaze on the canopy and then fitted the cover part to that. Just be really careful that you don't get the glue on the glazing. And then moving on to the actual structure for it itself, it's just one piece and it kind of folds in on itself. And then you've got some little detailed timber panels that you need to fit to those. So rocket hard glue was excellent again for fitting them in. So again, coming in, I've used my glue and glaze again, even though I'm not really sticking to the glazing part. It's just to make sure that, again, I don't get any overspill onto windows. If you're gluing anything near windows, just be so careful. It's important to note this glue and glaze does take a bit longer to go off than the normal rocket hard glue. So coming back in, I've used the rocket hard glue this time to glue the back of the canopy to the main building. I wasn't too worried here because the glazing was well away, but it was a nice snug fit anyway, which helped hold it down. I then came in on the front with the glue and glaze and used my Sankey Scenic sign to fit above the main entrance there. So now onto the chimneys. These were quite simple but quite fun, I thought. I enjoyed making these. And you just build the tops of the chimneys like that, quite similar to the steps earlier on. I didn't glue the chimneys into the roof. I was quite happy to have them as just slid in because it was nice and tight. And it was a case of just fitting the tops and the chimney pots on. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed making this station building for my layout, and I hope that the idea of putting a little speaker in with the lights might inspire someone else. I'll leave you with some of my favourite pictures that I've taken of the building. I look forward to seeing your comments, and bye for now.